Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. You can
Yes.
start with the session.
Okay. Sir, shall I present?
Yes, please.
Sir, can you see my screen?
No, ma'am.
Eh,
We cannot see.
No?
Yeah, now it is visible.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for,
Good
in
evening.
fact, waiting for 10 or 15 minutes and then joining for this webinar. A warm welcome to all the teachers here, all the teacher educators, and whoever is involved in the field of education. And I express my gratitude to the training center, which has equipped us to take sessions and also enrich teachers with whatever the learnings, that has happened in the last 12 sessions. Today, we shall be covering a very important aspect, school health and wellness program. This is our role beyond textbooks. Now, all of you must be wondering, there is already so much to do with the textbooks, without the textbooks, core curricular activities. Now, what is this on the plate? This is a very important aspect. And of course, teachers, we all are doing this. But now, CBSE has given a structure. CBSE has given a framework. Though we were doing it in our regular classes as teachers, as counselors or subject teachers, PE teachers, whoever in the school associated with children, we all have been doing this. But CBSE has a framework, and through this framework, the task becomes even more easier. So are we all ready? Can I see thumbs up? Yes? Okay. So the chat box is open. You can share your responses there. And if there is something that you want to ask or there is something that you want to share, please unmute and kindly, interact to make the session more meaningful and engaging. So here we go. I'm Lalita, and I've been in this education space for the last 25 years, and now I'm heading a school in Bangalore, RJ Public School. I'm the principal of this school, and we are going to talk about empowering teachers as health and wellness ambassadors. So the next 45 minutes, we shall be discussing on how our role has shifted from being a teacher to being an ambassador. So to understand and to take up the role, we just have to look into the meaning of health and wellness. Of course, we know what health is, what wellness is all about. But let us just look into the definition of health and wellness. Health is our overall state of and physical, mental, social well-being. So if we are perfectly fine physically, we are able to respond, we have good interaction, so we are healthy. And wellness means adopting any kind of daily processes, adapting to it, taking responsibility, taking lifestyle changes. All this means wellness. So, to put it in a very simple word, we can say health is the destination and wellness is the journey towards it. So, if health is the destination, we need a path, and that path is wellness. Wellness leads us to the destination. So we know the meaning of these two words, and let us see what is there to do regarding these two aspects. Now, why is it important that we should have a program for this? Don't we have doctors? Don't we have wellness counselors? Don't we have specialists? Why is this program again coming back to teachers, and why is that teachers we have to look into the health and wellness? It is because students spend 6 to 7 hours in the school. They spend solid their daytime, that is, we call it as the waking time in school. So it becomes our responsibility to look into the health and wellness of all the students between the age group of 6 to 18. Now, when the program was thought about, or when this module was designed, there were few points that came into light. There was an academic challenge always that students faced, and teachers knew it. There was a missing link, and we needed a prevention model. So, what is the academic challenge? The academic challenge is always related to some kind of chronic stress. Now, when we say chronic stress, the child is always in a fear mode, or the child is always in an anxious state. Most of the time, we as teachers, we have identified this. The moment when, you ask a child, what are you doing? Why did you do this? Or where is your book? Did you drop this down? When you ask a simple question in your classroom, the response is quick, and the response always comes from a fear mode. No, ma'am, I did not do this. So that would be the response. That's again because children are always under some kind of stress. And poor nutrition. When I say poor nutrition, it is not that parents are not serving them good food. Parents are serving them 3 meals a day, but the nutrition is not enough. Most of the time, today, maybe during lunch break, when you just go on around, what kind of food do you see? What kind of food is there in the lunch box, teachers? There's always some kind of junk. There is always some kind of food, which is tasty only to the tongue, but not healthy. So all these we also have identified. We have seen this. Now, all these points, I'm probably, you're able to relate. Yes, this is happening. But how are we addressing it? What is that as teachers we are going to do? So there is a missing link. What happens, when we have all of our assessments, when we have a slip test, when we have a monthly test, we track their performance. We track their handwriting, their writing skills, their neatness. But we don't, we are not able to track the wellness of a child. Of course, all the schools have a medical checkup in the beginning of the year. Many schools do it sincerely, and then they send out, any kind of, references. The doctor has made some kind of observation. These observations are sent to parents, but it stops at that. There could be issues. So this missing link, and also we had to develop a prevention model, to move from a crisis to being proactive. Many a times it happens that whenever there is a crisis, all of us talk about it. But can we think about, how we can manage before the crisis and be proactive? So this is what the program is going to talk about. Okay, shall we move? Are we all together? Thank you. Now, why does this matter in 2026? Were we not doing all this, before 2026? Were we not doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Yes, we have been doing this. As teachers, all of you very sincerely address issues that come up, to your notice, or you find, if a child is a little weak, a child is a little dull, most of you go and ask, what happened to you? Are you okay? Did you eat something? But it stops at that. It just stops at that. Because, we move on, we go to the next class, and then many a times, we may not get back to this child, if the child has recovered or if the child is feeling okay. It happens because, we have a hectic schedule in the class, in the school. So how do we handle this then? Do we need doctors and paramedical staff in school? Or do we need a separate curriculum for that? How do we handle? Let us see what this program from the CBSE suggests to do. It is observed that 1 in 7 children between the age group of 10 to 19 have some kind of mental health issues. We all have observed, we all have noticed this. In a regular class, when you address or when you have a conversation, you will know different, each child has got a different kind of responses, or the way the child responds to you. So how do we handle? How do we help? Many a times, I have heard teachers say, this is not the way you answer, this is not the way you do it. Then how do we do it? Who's going to tell them? Who's going to, design or tell, instruct children? And then we also know 40% of the kids skip breakfast. I don't agree with 40%, and I feel more than 40% skip breakfast. And we have anemia in 59% of adolescent girls. We all have, handled co-education. We have taught in co-education schools. We have handled girl children. The moment they attain puberty, they start feeling weak. They don't participate in activities. They don't go to play. This is because the body is suffering. There is some kind of, loss of blood in the system. So how do we handle? So these three are the, major issues which were identified, and there is a module, there is a systematic way in which we can handle all these issues. So how is it happening? If anybody, if there is a book like, suggested, we may just read about it. Or, it would just be given to some teacher who has less workload. But CBSE suggests that under the Ayushman Bharat scheme, which is, this is implemented in association with NCERT and UNESCO. The school health wellness program is initiated by Ayushman Bharat. The term itself says Ayushman. So the entire nation, children of Bharat nation should be healthy, and they should be blessed with good health. So that is the main motto of Ayushman Bharat, which has got associated with NCERT and UNESCO. So under this scheme, the Ayushman Bharat School Health and Wellness Program, the NCERT has come up with simple modules, simple lessons or activities that in our day-to-day, while teaching regular subjects, we can implement them. We don't need a separate class for it, or, we don't have to have another extended period for it. But there is just one condition, that we have to do it intentionally. These sessions have to be conducted with, just like how you have a syllabus, then you have some portions, you say, okay, this has to be completed. So we just have to see that, these are covered in the school. So how do we go about? So there's a core structure for the program. And the structure is something like this. Two teachers, preferably one male and one female, should be trained in every school. So we are the ambassadors. The teachers who are trained are the ambassadors. But I suggest that all of us take up this training. Because when there's a crisis, we cannot say, oh, wait, let me call that ambassador. Of course, 2 ambassadors can be nominated. Under them, I think we can have a team. And this team will work together. Then, how do we add this, or how do we, inculcate or add this to our curriculum? We can just dedicate a 30-minute or a 40-minute, just one period in the entire week. And what is it we are going to do? Do we have notes? Should the children maintain another book? Absolutely no. It is just going to be an interactive, joyful activities. But the outcome will be children are going to learn about nutrition, health, and good practices. So these are the 2 elements of the structure. The third one being the areas that we have to cover. UNESCO, in association with Ayushman Bharat, has identified 11 thematic areas. Now, when we understood that, yes, every teacher needs to work on the school wellness program, or we must look into the health aspect of the child, where to start from? What points to be covered? So how do we identify what needs to be addressed? Because it's a very, very vast, curriculum, or it's a very vast subject. Health itself is a very vast, subject. So to make it easy and to make it applicable, to make it easy for the school, for the teachers, there are 11 themes. So let us take one by one and see how we can, implement this in our day-to-day activities. The program covers 11 crucial themes, and themes 1, 2, and 3. This is something very basic, fundamental, basic and fundamental. Here, all of us do this, in fact, the self-identity, most of the teachers are aware. Growing up healthy. The moment you see some children eating noodles or carrying bread or, some kind of junk food, you immediately talk to children. You say, no, this food is not healthy for you. So you talk about body positivity. What is important for your body? How does it add energy? How does it add muscle to your body? How does it make you grow? So theme 1 talks about how a teacher should be equipped about talking, being healthy, or growing up healthy. And theme 2 is emotional well-being. This is very common. All of you, day in and out teachers who are here in this webinar would have many points to discuss among each other about what happened in your respective classes. You come back to staff room and you say, hey, this child answered like this child, was emotionally low, and this child, speaks in a very loud voice. So there are certain triggers. If you sit with a child or, spend little time, many of you do that. I've seen a lot of teachers, take up the roles of, being ambassadors and spare time. There's always a trigger. It's always a trigger behind a child's behavior. So day to day, there are certain transactions. Day to day, these children have to talk to so many of other, their classmates when they come for assembly, during the lunch break, during the PE period. So they meet, different groups. So there are definitely some triggers, and these triggers are many a times passive. Triggers sometimes children themselves, suppress. But over and over, when these triggers, affect the child becomes, the child cannot express it in a way we expect. It might just explode. So this is the theme 2, which most of us have handled it. But how do we do it? Let us see. And then managing exam anxiety. When you have assessments in the class, or when you have some kind of exam or test, how previous day what children do, or you see them all the time discussing, or on the day of the exam, the child who has never held book, you see this child holding a book and reading. So what is the trigger behind that behavior? It is the anxiety. The child now knows that my paper is going to be valued and I'm going to be judged, and my value will be the value which is there on the paper. So this is an anxiety. The child is in that mode. So how do we handle this? And then the last theme in the first category here is the interpersonal relationships. In interpersonal relationships, how do we help children to draw healthy boundaries? How do we teach them to say no? Or how do we tell them this is not right? And resolving peer conflicts. Many times, you would resolve a conflict, or even before you resolve, the conflicts would have resolved. But the feeling, the underlining, the feeling will still be there. It might trigger some other time. So how do we deal with interpersonal relationships? So these are the three important themes, we find in all the classes. More so in, lower classes, these have to be addressed. Once we start addressing in grades 1, 2, and 3, or low classes up to 4, children will be able to handle, they'll be able to handle their food habits and then their emotions. So next. What is the kind of activity that we can do? There are several. I'm sure that most of you will be able to design one. Most of you will come up with a lot of, already many of you might be having, but there is a very simple one that we can, quickly, it's just in your hand. You can say, let's play emotional charades, and, when there's a conflict in the class, or you feel that I need to talk to my class because there was an issue in my class. So just come, maybe 5-10 minutes, you don't have to teach that day. You can say, okay, let's play a game. And that game is nothing but, students will act out complex emotions. And the child who's actually going through an emotion, the child who's actually going through, something that was not resolved in the previous period or the previous day, will enact it in a very different way. You will be able to understand how this child, what exactly has to be done. So it doesn't just stop at enacting. Now, emotion, once the child has enacted, we'll definitely have 1 or 2 students who will come up saying, how to handle it, or, how to resolve these kind of emotions. And as a teacher, maybe you can just make a note, or, convey it to another class teacher, or if there is a counselor in your school, and see to that, this will be addressed if it is a deep emotion. If it is just an anger, or, just, ma'am, he took my eraser, or, my pencil lead was broken, and something like that, you can resolve immediately. But if it's something deep, you may have to make a note and try to help the child. The next is being socially responsible and healthy. So under this category, we have values and citizenship, gender equality, nutrition, and sanitation. All of us definitely know these areas, and we have been doing. But then where is the gap? Then where is it, somewhere we have some kind of issues which are not resolved in the classes. Children, show frequently the same kind of behavior. So how is that, we are not able to touch certain kind of issues? So when it comes to values and citizenship, there are values that you inculcate through your classroom teaching, by your own modeling, by your own behavior. When you enter the class, you enter, smiling, you wish your children. And when there's another teacher, in the class, how you greet the teacher, how each one of you talk to each other, one another. All that children watch and learn empathy. So being kind is also another, amazing human value. So values and citizenship and their duties. When we say about citizenship, the duties of students could be as simple as keeping your classroom clean, not littering, not tearing papers and just littering the classroom, not littering with the pencil shavings. So these simple, activities when we do in the class, that's going to build a very great citizenship with the child. The next theme is gender equality, breaking stereotypes. Many a times, unintentionally, we categorize girls and boys in the class. For example, we want something to be lifted. We say, okay, we always call the boys. So what happens? We are already labeling that girls are weak. Maybe girls may not be able to do as much as the physical task like boys, but we should not make it very obvious. Together, they can do some kind of physical work related, physical work in the school. So gender equality in terms of careers or in terms of sports, let's not demark saying that girls have to play only this and boys have to do only this. So this also can, as a teacher, as anybody who is dealing with, children, we can think about how we can resolve this gender, issues in the school. Then coming to nutrition and sanitation, which we have already covered there. But here, they both are connected. Sanitation and nutrition is interconnected. Many times when children don't, this happens in lower classes. They constantly keep their hands here and there. They touch their shoes and socks. They may pull their tie. They may scratch their head. So if the nails are dirty, sometimes what happens, they may have some kind of stomach upset. So these kind of hand washing routines or keeping their hands clean and having daily, this hydration. Many schools have got this water bell, where children are reminded to drink water. So nutrition and sanitation, there are quite a few simple activities or, steps that each teacher can adopt in her respective class, which will not take more than 2 to 3 minutes along with your lesson. You don't have to, have a separate lesson for this, or you don't have to have a separate curriculum. As you walk into the class, you can just start doing this. Did you all drink water? Did you finish? Did you complete your box? So, if you just have few leaders, to check the tiffin box, these leaders will update on, all these issues. So this is theme 4, 5, and 6. There is an activity which is very popular. Last year, if you remember, CBSE had this sugar board activity, which was very popular. Can anyone share about the sugar board activity? Teachers? What exactly did we do with the sugar board? And we also did the oil board activity. Many schools had come up with very creative ideas. Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. Sunita here.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
from
Okay.
NPS West.
Yes.
Yeah, last year we had both sugar board as well as oil board, where
Mm-hmm.
students were like, it was about to bring awareness among students about the
Mm-hmm.
intake of sugar according to their age level
Mm-hmm.
and what is healthy and what is unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
including the oil content, or like in a balanced diet, how much of sugar, what proportions of sugar should reach to them so that
Mm-hmm.
they can keep themselves healthy through
Mm-hmm.
posters, through class lectures.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really very nice to bring
Then
awareness
what is the
among.
outcome? What happened after that? Was it what did the message go to parents, and was there any change in the attitude of children when they selected food?
Yeah.
Could you notice any change in their lifestyle, food, or anything?
Yes, actually, when they were assigned to get the work done, they
Mm-hmm.
actually did the research work more.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to collect the information. So they were
Mm-hmm.
curious to know about it, what they were like having it in one piece of like a cake or a
Mm-hmm.
bar of chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
how to choose. There were
Amazing.
few discussion among themselves. That
Right.
was really good.
Yes. Can I have opinions or your own learning from this activity?
Uh,
Did it work? Did it work?
yeah, actually, most of the activities what we see as teachers are
Mm-hmm.
rather than we teaching them, it we allow them in certain concepts like these to learn
Absolutely.
by
Absolutely.
themselves.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
will bring results much more
Yes,
effectively.
because they take the ownership.
Yes,
Because they take the ownership.
yes.
Yeah.
And they
Thank
should
you.
not be the like tagline of assessments or
Yes. Yes.
marks. They should
Yes.
be allowed to work free.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sunita. That
Thank you,
was
ma'am.
wonderful sharing. There is a very simple activity here. Most of you might have heard about this. It's a Mythbuster menu card. See, what happens here? There is a food fad. I noticed this when the dragon fruits came into market. See, these dragon fruits were never heard in Bangalore, or in India. It was not very common. Few years ago, when dragon fruits came into market, children would buy, and children would insist parents to buy them, and then they would carry to school. And since it was very colorful, many of us assumed, it's the most healthiest, and it has got a lot of antioxidants or vitamin C, blah blah blah. So, children who can't afford, or parents who did not know about it, there are a lot of people who haven't still, maybe they wouldn't have even seen it. But we all have this, kind of food fad. It similarly happened with oats, when oats came into the market and when all this conflicts came into the market. So how do we, because every 6 months there's a trend. Every year there is a trend because the marketing strategies are different. They want to push their product. So there is a very interesting activity known as Mythbusters. What we can do this in the class, probably with the senior children, or we can try it out with even with the junior class. Which we should just ask them to list out, two or three food items which they feel is very attractive, but they don't know whether it is healthy or it is not healthy. I remember, one child in one of the class, the teacher shared it with me. I believe this child asked the teacher, "Ma'am, is wheat healthy?" The teacher said, "Yes, wheat is healthy." Then the child came back and asked, "Ma'am, is the other, the lettuce healthy?" I said, "Yes, lettuce is very healthy." Then he asked all the ingredients, which goes into a burger, one by one. And then he says, "Ma'am, then burger is healthy." Then the teacher had to explain that the process, in which burger is made, what goes into all these items, what the child mentioned, to make it more tasty, or to make it, improve the shelf life. So that process was unhealthy. So this activity, can be like last year, of course, we all did sugar board and oil board. We can try this activity in the school, giving children a myth buster about a food, a fast food myth buster. So they just have to identify a food, identify the health risk associated with that, and understand what are the benefits of avoiding, consumption, frequent consumption. So this will definitely be an eye opener, to all the children. You're not directly telling them don't eat. You're allowing them to do a research. They themselves will come up and present a myth buster, and they will definitely break that myth. Yes. So the 7 to 9 is slightly for higher classes, and this needs a little preparation. as ambassadors, that's the reason, the school should have two ambassadors who are trained, who will be going through the module. There is a lot of material available. They will just go through how, all this preventive measures have to be discussed, or what has to be conveyed. Because, see, it should be given in a very neat capsule. It should neither be excess or it should be age appropriate. Whatever we talk about, it has to be exactly age appropriate. Because here on the screen, we are able to see substance abuse, healthy lifestyles, and reproductive health and HIV. Most of these topics, are covered in biology lessons from, say, grade 7, 8, 9. But there, the science teacher would have, taught in the perspective of the lesson. We all know it, if we are science teachers sitting here, we know how children, they don't clarify doubts. They do not talk anything about reproductive health. It just remains as one, a big question mark in their mind. Any children, they get to read, there are a lot of things which are available, but is it appropriate? Is it answering their question? This is what, as ambassadors, as health and wellness ambassadors, we have to look into, because there's so much material available. When we talk about substance abuse, today, these abusive substances are available on Amazon. You can just buy them. We don't need we don't need permission, or we don't need that 18 years, that age criteria. Anybody can order on Amazon and buy abusive substances. Sometimes children bring it, there are a lot of cases where children bring some kind of abusive substance to school, and the entire class knows except the teacher. Yes, everybody will be knowing. And then later somehow, somebody leaks it and, brings it to the teacher's notice. By then, there would have been some kind of damage. Some kind of damage already done. It has already happened. So what do we do now? How do we, handle this damage? So we should train children to say no. No to certain things. If it's a no, it's a clear no. If it's harming you, if it is affecting your cell, if it is affecting your muscle, it's damaging, your system, then yes, Aarti, you have a question?
No, ma'am, just I want to ask, I want to just share one thing.
Please.
I am Aarti from Ludhiana. I am a teacher in Jesus Sacred Heart School,
Mm-hmm.
a very well-renowned school in Ludhiana.
Yes.
As you said about that substances abuse prevention, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying no to the children, we can keep on surprise checking of the bags in the school, so
Mm-hmm.
that they should not bring such of the things. Like if I talk about the younger kids, they are not well aware with the things which are useful and which are harmful for them. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe some of the elder person is using at home and they are just bringing
Yes.
it into the school in maybe that thing is attractive to that child.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be the surprise bag checking as we are doing in our school randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, when I said no, we are not saying no. As a school, it is not no. Children also should be able to say no to certain things. That in spite of this checking, Aarti, you are absolutely correct, because I think most of the school does this frisking. We do a random checking. When we suspect or there's some kind of doubt, random checking happens, and we find something. You will find some treasures in their bags. But this is again when it doesn't come to your notice. This happens outside the school. This happens in the van. This happens in the transport. This happens outside the school compound when they meet or they come together. How do you train children to say no to certain things? So to say no, there should be a scientific background to it. So that awareness has to be created. Of course, this checking is absolutely fine. As school, we all have to do it. Then at least, they will avoid bringing it to school. And then coming to healthy lifestyles. Healthy lifestyles is today, it is all to do with the screen addiction. Randomly, I sometimes ask the class, how many hours do you spend? It is shocking. Children say 3 hours, 4 hours on the screen. And where do they have time to do their schoolwork or to do their projects, to submit anything? Because by the time, they spend 2 or 3 hours on the screen, they're exhausted, they're tired, and they have no interest in academics. So talking to them about, de-addiction of screen, or, what are the, or we can always tell them, okay, you tell me what is that, you want to watch on the screen and how much time do you need? Fix certain, timings, and then take, for feedback from them, follow up with this aspect. I'm sure there'll be some kind of behavioral change in children. And then the last one in this category is the reproductive health and HIV. So we all know today there are a lot of hormonal imbalances. There are a lot of hormonal related issues with children. And when it comes to the reproductive system, or it comes to biological pattern of a child, what exactly is HIV? How does it, these are diseases, which spread from one person to another only through sexual contact. So how do we create that awareness? How do we bring that, in the school, in the system, in the class, without making them, without embarrassing anybody? See, the moment you talk about reproduction, you can see there's a the kind of silence. It's we are not able to, even today I find teachers, not being very comfortable to take up this topic. And that is where, the ambassadors or the health and wellness ambassadors will be trained, and they will know what to speak, how to speak, and what has to be communicated. So this is a very simple activity that, we can ask children to write a story, or, design a role play where, they write a small script saying uh, three ways in which they say no to peer pressures. Three simple, without losing the friend, without harming the friendship. So how do they say no, or how do they say it is not okay to do this? It could be gaming, it can be trying a vape, it can be trying some abusive substance. Because we know how, if these children say no to certain things, they are branded. They brand them saying, oh, you are still a bacha and you don't know all this. So children don't want to be in that category. And that is when these, they get into, just to prove that they also are capable of, handling drugs or handling abusive substances. So a simple way, this should not happen, when there is an issue. This can happen before the issue, and we can come up with uh, uh, 3 points, or 3 areas, one every week, or every fortnight we can come up with different themes in the school. Is there anybody who wants to share an embarrassing moment, or how you felt as a child, when reproduction was taught to you, or even today, as a parent, if you're uncomfortable to talk about these areas? Would anybody like to share? Okay, thank you. So the last one talks about the long-term safety. Whatever we discussed, about food, nutrition, well-being, these equips, these trains, or molds children to handle their day-to-day activities, in the school, at home. But there are few areas which, again, needs a proper training. This needs a little mastery, of the topics that we need to cover, which here, it is safety and injury prevention. And when we say safety, cyber safety, POSCO awareness, this is again prevention of child sexual offense. Then coming to road rules. Many students, they assume that because they're under 15 or under 16, the electric vehicles, they're allowed to ride electric vehicles without helmet. But they are using it on the same road. We do not have a separate road for electric vehicles, which they can go without a helmet. So what kind of safety precautions and what kind of safety rules, children between the age group of 13 to 15 have to follow? And what kind of POSCO awareness has to be given, not just to the children, it is for everybody in the school. Everyone must be aware of, these areas. Once the ambassadors are trained, or, once two teachers in your school, or one of you who's interested after this webinar, want to go, update yourself more about this, and then talk to your school, talk to your management to bring about a system. You will definitely bringing a lot, you'll be bringing a lot of difference in your, school culture. Then the last one is management of non-communicable diseases. Now, communicable diseases, non-communicable diseases. Once a child is affected by a communicable disease, the child has to go for a medical, help. Child needs to be treated for the communicable diseases. What are non-communicable diseases, which does not spread from a person to person, but there could be a chances due to the lifestyle, due to the food habits, due to the triggers, the child might, deal with a few of them. We have come across many parents, informing us that the child is slightly, on the borderline of hypertension. The child needs to be handled, with a lot of care. So how do we manage, and how do we create this kind of awareness? So this is, definitely, this needs a lot of attention from all educators. So what kind of classroom activity will it, can you start with? You may not even be aware, how do I take up this topic to talk? So you can start with a digital footprint audit. The term looks very fancy, but it is very simple. Talking to children about what are the kind of websites, what are the kind of links they open, what are the kind of sites they watch, and all that, can be discussed in a computer science class, or a maths teacher can just take it up as a, a simple discussion. And we can definitely identify some kind of risks with some websites, because we know how PUBG, we know how few games, have led to a disaster. So having a digital footprint audit, this each child will do. The child himself, or herself will do this. I have these kind of, apps, or, I watch this on the, how safe is it? Find out, the child need not reveal it to you. We can ask these children to audit themselves and draw, is it on a gray area, is it in the danger zone, or is it in a safe zone? All their, whatever screen time, what they're spending on the screen, is it in the danger zone, or are they still in the safe zone? So this can be identified by themselves, and let them just give a simple report to you. They need not have to share their accounts or anything. This will definitely help. So a digital footprint audit can be done by themselves, and then share. If there is some concern that the child doesn't want to share because the child feels he's already in that danger zone, the child needs help. We don't have to call the parent and make it a big issue. Maybe at school level, initially we can handle, and then slowly bring it to parents' notice. So these are the 11 themes. It's like the 11 subjects that the class 9 has this year. But these topics are very interesting, believe me. As a teacher, as a classroom teacher, you will definitely make a huge difference in your class. You will be able to handle, and then you will be able to manage better if all these 11 themes, you somewhere keep in mind and start addressing them whenever, you feel, okay, my class needs, this particular theme to be discussed. Because you would have noticed some kind of eruptive behavior. Well, so this is a little too much because the topic itself is quite heavy. Then how do students reach out to you? No matter sometimes whatever you do, some children don't open up. So we know that, all of us have, we say that, you can come to me anytime, I'm available, but still the child may not be able to reach out. So this is one simple technique all of us are doing. Many schools might have, a box or, a place where they come, write and then drop the note. So we can just have a magic box where children write about their, it can be a question, it always need not be problems. We always assume, only problems have to be there in the box. And there could be a aha moment. There could always be a nice thing that the child wants to share with everyone. So this also, we can try, if not a box, visible like this, because again, the child, might be thinking, if I go and drop it, somebody will see. So this also can be, kept in mind. Then, yes. So what is the purpose? The purpose is a secure box. Then the protocol will be students drop anonymous questions. It can be about bullying, mental health. As I mentioned, let us not have only the negative aspects of the personality. It can just be something that the child wants to share with everyone. So what is the teacher's role? What should we do? No, we have to open it once in a while, and many a times, there could be shocking things written. But as teachers, we have to handle, we have to read, and then if there is something that needs professional help, do not hesitate. We don't know. Sometimes, some slips will have some kind of, expressions, or, the child would have mentioned where you need professional help, to handle it, to discuss with a professional, and then help this child. But I always suggest, we should not overlook, these red flags. Yes. Yes, Monisha? Okay. So the red flags should not be overlooked, and we need to identify them and then address them, resolve them, and follow up again. So that was about the magic tool. Now, after this session, most of us may feel overwhelming. It is too much. I already have. This is just the first week of the school. And, should I focus on the syllabus or should I do this? That's the reason we chose the first week of the school reopening, so that we have an action plan. There's an action plan that we start along with our syllabus. But to do this, we also have to be healthy. We also have to be mentally, physically fit. So how do we handle our emotions? We also have triggers, because one teacher in a school will be interacting with more than 200 or 250 students. So you are facing 250 emotions. So those 250 emotions will have some impact on you. So your cup is already full. Every day your cup is full of emotions. When your cup is full, you cannot pour anything into another cup. So you need to empty your cup. So you should have somebody to share, or start writing, journaling, seek help, discuss, and when you go home, leave everything on your school desk. Come back and handle the next day. Do not carry the magic box home. So first, we have to put our oxygen mask and then help others. Because without an oxygen mask, we cannot help others. So teacher well-being is equal to student well-being. Do we all agree? Do we all agree? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. When you are, mentally, physically fit, you can handle any. There are days, when we are very low. There are days, when we feel broken. So what is it we need to do? Talk to someone or take some time out and then resolve. So teacher burnout post-COVID is high. So post-COVID, all this data shows that, there are a lot of teacher burnout because once we learned using computers during COVID, taking online classes, now the entire system has gone online, entire system has gone digital. Maybe if COVID was not here, probably digitalization of school and all that would have taken some more time. Many schools had already started, but with COVID, any small school, big school, everybody has gone into that digital mode. So, see, one aspect of this digital education or digital mode of learning, today we all are sitting here. I see more than 60, 70 participants in this session. So we all are able to connect. So that's the, advantage. But every technology has both advantage and disadvantage. So we have to make use of, whatever is available to the best of our, ability. So we started 12 minutes late. So we already at 8:11. Let's, if there is something to share or discuss, maybe you can.
We request the participants to come forward with their feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be really useful for us. Those who wish to give your feedback can come forward and give your valuable feedback to us. And dearest participants, those who wish to stay informed about our sessions like this can join our webinar group using the link which I am giving. We have a webinar group of SNCLL. I have just posted it in the chat box. So those who wish to stay aware about such sort of webinars can join that webinar group using the link that I have given. Yeah. And now we are waiting for the feedback.
Sir, I think I have one more last slide. I'll just.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjit. Thank you. Thank you, Pavitra. Thank you, Vaishali. Thank you, Gayatri. I hope, we implement and, we take a little time and implement one or two points from this, whatever, we have learned in this session. So, session at a glance before we log out. Teachers as health and wellness ambassadors, we have discussed. So, UNESCO has suggested 11 thematic areas, and then students as health and wellness messengers. So, they are the messengers and we are the ambassadors. And then implementation strategies are partnered with the CBSE. So, these are the 4 areas that we covered today. To dive deeper into the operational guidelines and how to implement this framework, these are the two sites, or these are the two guidelines that we can refer: National Health Mission, School Health and Wellness Program guidelines, and UNESCO on School Health and Wellness. So we can go to these official resources and take a lot of activities and use them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful insights and eye-opening session, Lalita ma'am. Expecting
sir.
to, have much more sessions from your end like this in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I think
Thank you.
that's all for